What's going on, everybody? Podcast 129. We are back. My name is Jake Stinchcomb. To my right is Mr. Hunter Waldrop. Hunter, how are we doing tonight, man? I know you're going through some technical issues. Got a lot going on, but you made it. You're here. We love it. You didn't leave me out to dry. Tyler couldn't be with us tonight. He's got some stuff going on. Getting ready to go out of town. We're ready to talk some Week 8 ball. Hunt, how we doing, man?
Yeah, have some self-imposed technical difficulties. Obviously, I'm not in my normal home, so I left some of my technology, like my microphone, my computer charger. A lot of stuff that you really need to do a podcast with. Yeah, it's all at the house. So, with that said, we're making it work, right? For the love of the game, I am on my phone. I don't know how well the connection is going to be, how this is going to flow. So if I go out, just keep rolling. I'll join back in. Just keep rolling with the punches. But man, we've got a really good slate of football for week 8 coming up, and I'm beyond excited for it. And I just want to give a shout out to you, sir, because I gave you the task of like, hey, man, I'm down for the count with my computer. I need you to finish out the slides for me. And you made the correct corrections at the end of the slides. And like, I know that's not something you're used to doing. So they still look great. Kudos to you. Just want to give a shout out to you, man. Thank you for the work and, being able to get them in here. And so we can still have a visual for the few people who do watch on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, you can tell I'm definitely on my phone. But if you're listening on podcast, all of this stuff is irrelevant to you. So with all that being said, all the personal stuff, where I'm at, location, YouTube, all that. Let's just talk ball, man. That's what we're here for. Let's talk some
Absolutely.
week 8 football. It's a great slate.
Absolutely. Before we do get into the Week 8 stuff, Hunter, there's two items on the agenda I wanted to bring up to the people. We did not get to recap Week 7 this week, just our busy schedules, everything. We decided just to preview this week. We knew that this week was a loaded slate, so we wanted to dedicate our time with you guys to Week 8. But there are two things we need to clean up from Week 7, I would say. The first is, I'm going to click to this real quick, triple option caps. Round of applause for the triple option. Tulane money line, they got the job done. Jackson Arnold he was the first touchdown scorer of the night in Auburn on Saturday, and then UNLV, they won a thriller against Air Force. So shout out to the boys. I just wanted to bring that up. Didn't want it to go unnoticed that we did cash the triple option. I think that's the second this year, Hunter.
Yeah, second or third. Second or
Yeah,
third.
we need to get on a little run. We're halfway through the season. We need to get going here. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. Good job for the boys. The second thing I wanted to bring up, because they probably won't be talked about a lot in this episode, maybe a little bit down the line, but I have to hear, Hunter, the biggest news of the weekend. Big Game James got canned at Penn State, officially fired as the head coach of Penn State, Nittany Lions. He is out after 3-3 start. I just wanted you to hear your thoughts on that. What are your takeaways from it? Who do you think is the next man up at Penn State? Where do you go from here? Where do you think James Franklin goes? And what does the outlook of Penn State season look like for the rest of the year? So,
Yeah, good question. So, as a guy who might or might not have picked Penn State to win his national championship, that was definitely not on the bingo card for 2025, right? But, you live, you learn, and we're definitely going to have a revamped bracket here soon within the next week or so. So, excited about that. But to put all that and the personal predictions to the side, as far as the situation itself, man, like, there's definitely two views, right? There's one where it's like, dude, he was getting you, and they just expanded the playoff to 12 teams. Like this was made for James Franklin, right? You go 10-2 every year, and you're always in it, but you never like get over the hump. But like you always are going to have a chance now, 12-team playoff. Well, obviously, with the way that this season started out through 6 games for them, now it's just not going to be in the cards. So there's two sides. One, well, if he couldn't get it done with his team that he's been building towards for years, and if he couldn't get it done with this one, he's not worthy of being here, right? Or two, this guy wins ball games all the time. He just can't get over that hump. But like with the amount of success he's had through the portal era, and even the era before that, like why would you get rid of him? And so I'm going to fight for the side just to pick a side here, and I don't really have I'm not strong towards one side or the other, but Oregon getting beat by Indiana at home almost solidifies it because like you couldn't beat that team at home with the team that you've been building for, but like Kurt Signetti can bring in a bunch of transfers and go on the road and get it done. Like I've seen that argument made. I'm like, that's a good argument. If it wasn't going to be this year, it was never going to happen. Kind of like a Mark Richt thing with Georgia back in the day. Like he couldn't get over the hump. But here's the thing: Georgia had a Kirby Smart waiting there for him at Alabama, right? Who does Penn State have waiting for him? Because I've been hearing the name Matt Rule. Bro, Matt Rule has not beat a ranked opponent since 2017 in the American Athletic Conference Championship against Navy. That's the last time that guy beat a ranked opponent. He has coached at Baylor for years. He then went a stint in the NFL, obviously, and then he's coaching at Nebraska. And he's not even beat a ranked team, not a top 10 team. Like James Franklin, he couldn't get over the hump with top 10 teams. But Matt Rule hasn't beat a ranked team at all since 2017. So that's the guy you're going for. That's the one phone call you make. I think it's a bad decision. So I think it really is going to come down to who they hire from here on out. But I could also get behind the crowd of, man, this guy won us a lot of games. He built something here. Like when he first got here, we were still dealing with like the side effects of Joe Pa and everything like that. And he kind of brought us out of that. I know Bill O'Brien had a stint in between those two before he went to the Houston Texans, but still, they were still feeling the side effects when James Franklin got in there. What was it, 2015, I believe? I think this was his 10th year there. So I don't know. I can get behind both sides, but honest to God, I think the only way we're going to find out if the decision was right or not is if they hire the right guy. And if Matt Rule's that guy, I'll tell you right now, it's a bad decision.
100%. I agree. I don't think that bringing in Matt Rule elevates you as a program. I don't even think that it makes you better as a program immediately. And I like how you brought up the Mark Richt thing, right? It's like the same exact thing where he was kind of building up, and just couldn't quite get over the hump. And we had a Kirby Smart in the wings waiting. Penn State doesn't have that. Where do you go? I think as a Penn State as a program, you've got it. This is where I think they're in such a tough spot. You've been on the grasp of it year in and year out for years and years with James Franklin, hadn't been able to do it. And now you got to go find a guy that can immediately keep you in the mix where you are. Well, not where you are today, but where you are in the past few years. And that's up in the top 10 on the edge every single time. You got to go find that guy that can get you there and more. But I don't know who that is. I don't know where you find him. I don't think there's a proven right now name that's been thrown around. Maybe Curt Cignetti. I would say he's more proven than Matt Rule is, but names being thrown around like Alex Golesh, like he's a G5 guy, would be stepping up into the big leagues. Like, I don't know about that. A few coordinators' names being thrown around, like the Oklahoma offensive coordinator, LSU DC. I don't think necessarily going coordinator is your best bet. So it's a very hard position for them, in my opinion, to be in as a program, as athletic director. Like, where do we go? Who do we find? And the next thing about just depends the firing in general that I thought, and you said this, each year they were building to the mountaintop. They were building towards it each year, and they find it this year preseason. Like every college football podcast preview, cover 3, unnecessary roughness, on 3, podcast 129. Everybody was saying it's this year for Penn State. This is the year. This is the roster. You bring everybody back except for Abdul Carter and Tyler Warren. But you bring back the best back duo in the country, as what we thought. You bring back Drew Aller, a 17-year starter, great defense, guys at receiver in the portal. Like, this is the year, and we were kind of led to believe that this was some special Penn State team, and it just wasn't. And I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if it's the coaching thing, if maybe we didn't pay enough attention to the fact that they lost 2 top 15 picks in the draft. Definitely first rounders. So very interesting how we were led to believe that this was the year, and then just the dramatic collapse. Like, if you would have told me they went 9-3, or 9-3. I mean, they're 3-3 right now. They could win out, but I doubt they're going to win out. I think you can agree with that. I would be like, okay, they had a down year, whatever. They'll be right back next year at 9-3, 10-2. But as of right now, as it stands, you look at their schedule, they're 3.5-point dogs this Saturday against Iowa. So there's no guarantee of any wins from here on out. It's just a disaster. If you would have told me that a few months ago, I would have been, there's no way, just because of what we thought to believe with the team they had coming back. But anything else on that, Hunter?
Yeah, I got 2 more things on that. So the first being that, just to back the people who are saying he was rightfully fired, right? So he you look at it, it's like, well, it didn't matter what coordinators he brought in. It didn't matter how much talent he had on his team. It was like the same process over and over and over and over again. Eventually, it just gets to a point where it's like it didn't matter, and you got to just point your finger back at the head man, right? So I can get behind that. And that's just something that I didn't bring up originally. Is that like, yes, this guy's been through coordinators. He's been through like he had Manny Diaz, Tom Allen, obviously had Andy Kotelnicki this year at OC, who I'm I lost so much stock in, not even just because of the performance, but asking Drew Aller to use his legs when he's not a guy that uses his legs, man. And it's just not the type of quarterback he is, especially when you got two really good backs. So I don't know. Obviously, it wasn't working there. But the next thing I want to hop on to with Penn State is that there's people acting like this is some tried and true storied program. I'm pretty sure they have. I know they have at least one, but maybe two national championships under Joe Pa from like the '80s. They're not some like recent, powerhouse where they were like constantly playing for the playoff or playing in the playoff, like with all these national titles and Big Ten titles. Like James Franklin won the Big Ten in 2016 and never looked back twice. And he had Saquon Barkley on that team, right? Pretty sure Chris Godwin was on that team. So never looked back, but like they haven't won a Big Ten title since 2016. They didn't win one before that, as far as like the championship game goes, because for a while the Big Ten they didn't have a championship game. It's not like a team that won a bunch of national championships. So my thing is like everybody's like, oh, this is like a top job, like this is a storied program. Like where the heck are these people getting off at? Like I would take the Florida job, the Auburn job, and I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't want to speak this into existence, but if the Oklahoma job comes open, if they fall off the face of the planet, like I would take all three of those jobs over the Penn State job. And I don't want to even say that's regional bias. Like, yes, I get it. I'm from the South. I grew up in the state of Georgia, but like just from what I've seen, like Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley and Bob Stoops like built that thing. I mean, I know they were tried and true before that, but like in my lifetime, Auburn's won a national championship in my lifetime, played for multiple SEC championships. Florida, Urban Meyer, even when Jim McElwain was there, they were playing for SEC championships, getting smoked by Alabama. But gosh, they were there at the end, right? Like even with Dan Mullen. So I'm just curious to see why these people, and maybe I just haven't seen it yet. Maybe it's like one of those things in Georgia, right? When Mark Richt got fired and they hired Kirby Smart, like there's just untapped potential there that we haven't seen. I'm very curious to see that. So those are the two other things I had to add. But if you had a short list right now, like you brought it up, you're talking about coordinators, young coaches, G5 coaches, like those aren't the people to go get. Um, if you had a short list right now, and I'll share mine before you go, like what would yours be? So I agree. You don't fire James Franklin for a G5 coach. You just don't do it. Um, Especially for a guy that was like literally one possession away from taking to the Natty last year. I don't think you go and get some unproven coordinator, right? Like don't go. I'm not saying that this name has even been thrown in the hat. I'm just speaking in general terms here. Like Dan Lanning at Oregon, great, but like don't go get Glenn Schulman at Georgia, right? Um, Things of that nature. Like if you're going to swing, you got to swing. If you fire James Franklin, you're paying him $50 million. You got to swing. So I would think Matt Campbell at Iowa State, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't get that from Josh Pate. Like I did. I'm not scared to say it. But like Matt Campbell at Iowa State, because of how terrible that program was. And like, man, he has built them into a consistent winner, playing for the Big 12 championship last year. And I know that this season is starting to fall off the rails, but like if you look at like the roster and the injuries they're having to go through, like it's Iowa State, just stuff kind of happens, man. Um, that would be my number one. Like, do you try and go get Brian Kelly? Like, Brian Kelly's from up there, right? He, or maybe not like the Pennsylvania area, but like he's from above the Mason Dixon line, obviously, so the north. Um, like, obviously, I don't know if is it working out at LSU. Like, there's just a lot of questions. Like, I saw something about Marcus Freeman. Like, that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I don't really have a short list. Like I already said, I don't think Matt Rule's the guy you need to call. I don't think Kurt Cignetti's leaving because I think Indiana, they've, as we've seen, Jake, as guys who pay attention to college basketball too, they have definitely just turned into a straight up football school over the past few years. And I think that's where they're going to start sending their money to. And like, I heard something on the Joel Klatt podcast today. He had Cignetti on, and he was Cignetti's like, yeah, like my biggest thing right now is I'm working on facilities and recruiting. That would be where I'd like to see the most of it grow. Well, I think they're willing to give that man anything he wants right now. So I don't think it'd be Cignetti, but like, who's your short list for candidates?
Yeah, I feel like the two names being thrown out right now, we've named them as Rule and Signetti. Personally, a name that's not being talked about enough, and I guess I want you to talk me out of it. Offense coordinator this year at a school who has kind of rejuvenated themselves after last year. What if Gus Malzahn wanted to get back in head coach? Who says no to that? Because
That'd
he
be a
won a national,
terrible
but he
hire.
won a national title at Auburn. He's a proven head coach, and he is an offensive guy. And I feel like that's what Penn State needs is an offensive guy because they've had weapons as of recent, but Penn State's always got a good defense. It's never that. Just a name I wanted to throw out there that I haven't seen. This is purely original. I'm surprised it's not being tossed around there because who's to say he doesn't want to get back into head coaching?
I don't think he wants to get back into head coaching. And he was an offensive coordinator when Auburn won their national title with Cam. But he did take Nick Marshall on that team to play Jameis in 2014. I got a name. Lance Leipold from Kansas.
Yeah.
Talk about bringing a program from the dead and just being a winner and making them relevant.
Yeah.
I think that's a phone call you might need to make. So
do you call Dan Mullen?
No, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. I've
Don't
seen
call
that name
Dan.
thrown around.
I could get behind Alex Golesh. I don't think you hire a coordinator. You don't pay somebody $50 million to just go hire a coordinator. They're going to be swinging for the fences. I just don't know who it's going to end up being, you know?
Yeah. Fran Brown's a name I've seen.
Fran Brown.
He's a winner.
I would like that. I think that actually would be a good hire. I agree with that. Yeah.
And I think he brings the energy and shown that he can build the culture to where it needs to be. I think that's a good. I think him and Matt Campbell would be my short list. I've seen the Matt Campbell thing a lot, and that makes a lot of sense in my eyes. Those would be the top two names. If I was a Penn State guy,
I just pulled one out of the hat. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I doubt this guy will even get a call. But if you date back to when it was the end of the Saban era, literally the last year, Tommy Rees was the offensive coordinator at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, he was the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. Now he's been in the NFL. I'm pretty sure he's with the Browns now. I don't know. He has experience recruiting and being a coordinator in college. I know he wanted to be a college head coach, but then Saban left. He's like, I'll just go to the NFL. I don't know. I just feel like that's a name. I've also seen Manny Diaz's name from Duke thrown out there. I'm like, do you really want to get a guy who was under James Franklin to come back to the program? Like, I don't know. We could go all day with this conversation. This could be its own podcast, honestly. But
Eli Drinkwitz.
That's a phone call I'd make. 100%. That's a phone call I'd make. I don't know if he'll take it, though.
Yeah, agreed. Well, enough on the James Franklin topic. That's crazy. Can't wait to see how it unfolds in the coming weeks and how the rest of their season looks. Interim head coach, new quarterback for the rest of the season. So we'll see. Hunter, won't you take care of the advertising tonight?
Just total role flip here. So, yeah, guys, we do have social medias, and I will say, top left right there, at podcast_129 on X/Twitter. Jake was on the X this weekend. I was on the X this weekend, and we did gain a follower or two, which is always cool. So, yeah, guys, go follow us on X because I have a feeling we'll get to it in a little bit, but I have a feeling X is going to be popping this week. We do have a TikTok account at podcast.129. Jake is attempting to run it. He does a good job when he gets on there, but we have lives. I wish this is something we could do full time. We dream about it sometimes, but this is not something we do full time. So, but we do have a TikTok. Please go follow us on there. And then lastly, I run our Instagram page at podcast_129. I try and be active on there daily, at least putting something on the stories, just try to interact with different content creators on there. And we are slowly but surely getting a bigger following on there. We started the year with like 40-something followers. We're up to like 130 now. So really working hard on the Instagram. So please give us a follow on there at podcast_129.
Absolutely. Yes. Please follow us on our socials. Hunter, have you noticed anything about the TikTok this week?
I don't have TikTok.
Oh, Well, just to inform you, boss man, I posted a TikTok 3 straight days on the TikTok, so trying to get back
Sorry.
on there.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I don't have TikTok, so I it was taking up a lot of screen time for me, trying to make some changes in the life, so got rid of it.
Good man, good man. All right, now for the reason we're here, Week 8 preview. Game 1 of the preview, we travel to Athens, Georgia. Ole Miss coming into Athens, the number 5 team in the country, only dropped one spot or stayed the same in the AP poll after a
I dropped one.
sneaky look ahead spot at home last week in Oxford against Washington State. They only won that game by a field goal, I believe. They come into Athens to take on the number 9 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia coming off of a just dirty thriller in Auburn last weekend. We said last week that night game, 7:30 kicks, and Jordan Hare, anything's possible, and that proved to be true. It was just a chaotic game. Refs being involved, Kirby clapping his hands, calling a timeout. Who knows at this point? But that's behind us. We got a very intriguing matchup here. College game days in town. Me and Hunter will be boots on the ground on Saturday. Georgia's striping the stadium. This is a fan-led thing. I don't know if you've seen it, Hunter, but we're striping the stadium this weekend, and it's a fan-led thing. I love that. Sanford's going to be rocking. What?
I did not know that, and obviously, I'm out of town. Already got all my clothes for the weekend, so if I'm not in tune with the crowd, I apologize. I'm just going as a fan.
Yeah. So number 9 at home against number 5. Hunter, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so Georgia obviously laying over a touchdown on the point spread. That kind of drew some alarms to me because we've seen these 7.5 point spreads, right? Where either it's a blowout or the underdog just straight up wins. I feel like we've seen there hasn't been a lot of middle ground there as far as you know the home team winning, but um, the team that is an underdog covering in the spread, like kind of fencing it here. So that number was the first thing that came to my mind was like, wow, 7.5 points. Like, is this an overreaction or is this just like Vegas like believes in Georgia and Kirby that much, right? So I think first things first, like as far as the number goes, I think there was probably a little bit of an overreaction to the Ole Miss win over LSU. While Georgia's been battle tested on the road, again and again against Tennessee and Auburn, two tough environments to play in. So I don't know that specifically the spread on this game kind of drew some alarms in my head immediately. Not that I think Georgia should have been favored, but I don't know. 7.5 seems a little much there in my opinion. But as far as the game breakdown goes, I think it's very simple here. I always try and find two to three keys every game, right? So my main key this game, Ole Miss is like in the high 90s, low 100s on rush defense. Whereas if you've watched Georgia football this year, which I'm sure most people listening to this have, they do a very good job of establishing the run game this year. Whether it's Chauncey Bowens, Nate Frazier, Gunnar Stockton, whoever it might be, like they are going to run the football. And then Mike Bobo with his relationship with screen passes that sometimes gets a little too much for me, for my liking. But hey, that guy's been in his bag the past 2 weeks, so I'm not going to hate too much on him. But that's an extension of the run game in a sense with Zach Branch, Colby Young, Bill Bell, people of that nature. So if Ole Miss is not very good stopping the run and Georgia finds success running the ball and just finds a time of possession uh, advantage in this game, it might the scoreboard might not reflect how ugly it is, but if you watch the game, you could just tell it'll be ugly. Very interested to see if Georgia's offensive line can continue to step up like it has the past 2 weeks against Auburn and Kentucky. Um, Very interested to see that. But this is Trinidad Chambliss' first road start, another second key to the game here. If you date back, the last time Ole Miss went onto the road was against Kentucky in week 2 or 3, and Austin Simmons started that game. That's when he got down with his injury, and then the world got introduced to Trinidad Chambliss. So I think that is a big deal in this game. He's never started on the road, SEC environment, so we'll see. But how do you make a young quarterback feel comfortable on the road in an environment he's never been in? No pressure, not getting home to the quarterback, not making him feel uncomfortable, right? So Georgia's not done a very good job of pressuring the quarterback. And now sometimes they've been doing a little bit better, but they did play Auburn and Kentucky their past 2 games. So I don't know how that's going to translate over to this week. But they definitely have not been getting home to the quarterback, right? So if Trinidad Chambliss is able to just get a few easy completions in there, get a good feel for the pocket, that's not good for Georgia in a road environment that's supposed to be tough, because then once this quarterback gets comfortable, he could be very dangerous, both his legs and his arm. And as we've seen with Georgia's defense this year, they've been struggling with running quarterbacks. We saw it with Jackson Arnold. Even when Joey Aguilar tucked it and ran at Tennessee, he had some success running the football. So Georgia's going to stop the quarterback run. They're going to have to generate pressure on the pass rush. But I think the Georgia defensive backs have just been getting better every week. I like their linebacking core. They're veteran led, and I think that will. And I've also seen C.J. Allen and Braylon Wilson just getting better each and every week. So if that continues, that'll be good. But as we know, Georgia starts slow. Their defense gives up multiple touchdowns or multiple scores every single game in the first half. And then the second half, it's like a completely different team. Nobody scores on them. So you don't want to give a young quarterback on the road, you don't want to get him comfortable already with not generating pressure. And then if he's able to score, I feel like that's not a team you want to do it against, with Lane Kiffin calling the plays rather than, Auburn last week with a quarterback that we've seen struggle for 4 quarters. And then we haven't really seen that a lot out of Trinidad. Another thing that comes out to me, third key of the game here, is that red zone offense for Ole Miss. They struggle. They're in the 50s or 60s in red zone offense. They're not punching the ball in. They're settling for 3 a lot. You can't settle for 3 against Georgia if you're going to go on the road and win. Like, you got to find a way to punch it in. I do like Keywan Lacey, though. I think he's a good back. I'm very interested to see how their run game is going to do. But Georgia's also got a very good red zone defense, top 10 in the country, I believe, and just not allowing touchdowns. So those would be my 3 keys to the game. But Jake, go ahead. I need to find my pad where I wrote down my score prediction. So you take it away.
Yeah, Hunter, you pretty much hit everything nail on the head. I like all the points you make. For Ole Miss, me personally, I think there's a few keys here. One, it's Georgia. You got to win in the trenches, and that's what they did last year in Oxford in that game when it was raining and everything. They won in the trenches. They bullied Georgia on both sides of the football up front, and that's a key for them. Another one is, and this has been kind of proven this year, obviously Georgia had slow starts every week. They always find a way to spot teams 7, 10 points, whatever it may be. For Ole Miss, if you can do that, that's great. But don't take your foot off the gas, right? That's what Auburn did last week. They went up 10-0, had a chance to go up 17-0. After that, gave Georgia the ball on the 1-yard line and was too pissed about all the outside stuff rather than what's going on in the field, which is the game. They were worried about the refs and their coaches freaking out, their athletic directors freaking out. And that's what cost them the football game, because they got out of it mentally. They weren't mentally tough enough to continue what they were doing. And same thing with Tennessee. Tennessee in the second half, they had Georgia beat. They should have won that game. But there were 2 or 3 drives in the second half where they took their foot off the gas, ran the ball 3 straight times instead of continuing with the tempo, continuing pushing the ball downfield with Aguilar's arm and the playmakers that they had that were making plays throughout the entire first half. So if Ole Miss is able to come out on Saturday, get a quick and early start, just like every other team that Georgia's played this year, and keep your foot on the gas and build off of it and don't stop, it doesn't matter, because Georgia's always going to be in it at halftime somehow or another. You got to keep your foot on the gas. It's got to be a 4-quarter game offensively for Ole Miss in order for them to win this game. I truly believe that. As far as Georgia goes, look, I think it's what I truly think is going to be the kind of tone of this game. It's clock control. They're gonna really try to just run the ball. It's the same plan every week. Keep everything simple for Gunner. Use his legs when you can. Filter backs in and out and lean on that run game. The offensive line continues to get better week by week. It might be a small improvement each week, but they're getting there. They're finally figuring it out. So I think they're going to run the ball and control the clock. I think it's a low scoring game. My score prediction on this one, I got Georgia covering, believe it or not. I'm going to go 24-13 Dogs.
Hang on with my score prediction here. I'm getting it pulled up now. With the 2% of computer battery I have, once it loads. What did you say yours was? 24 what?
24-13.
24-13. I believe it was 27-21. No, sorry. It was 27-24. Or 30. Yep, 30-24, Georgia over Ole Miss.
Good
So
deal.
I have Ole Miss covering the 7.5, but I do think Georgia wins by 6, 30-24.
Good stuff. On to the next game on the slate this week. Tennessee Volunteers, a team that we have not talked about a lot recently since their trip to or their home game against Georgia. I feel like that's the last time we truly talked in depth about the Volunteers. Number 11, coming off of another scare at home against Arkansas, pulled away late and won last week, traveling to T-Town, to the hottest team in the country right now, if you will, Alabama. A true battle-tested team. They have a road win at Georgia, road win at Missouri, and obviously the win against Mizzou at home. A team that has just completely flipped the script after the Week 1 loss at Florida State. Alabama's given 8.5 points here at home. I believe this is a night game. We have a loaded SEC slate, if you can't tell already. But this is the second one that we're going to be looking at. Hunter, what do you think? Where's your head at on this one?
Sorry, I'm writing down my score predictions here so I don't have to pull up my computer again, but I'll try and multitask. So in this game, like I was talking about last week, we previewed Bama like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. They've just been playing hard hitter after hard hitter. So shout out, that's a kudos to them. Big shout out to Caleb DeBoer after that Week 1 loss to Florida State. So with this game in particular, can Tennessee establish a run game, right? As we saw, Mizzou could not run the ball against Alabama, made them one-dimensional. Bama wins that game. But this is the fourth game of a 4-game stretch, right? They had to go on the road to Georgia. They had to get an emotional win over Vandy. I know it was at home, but still, that was a big deal for this team in Tuscaloosa. Then they have to go on the road to a Mizzou team who's looking for a big win, who's been showing and producing really good numbers on the offense. And then to cap it all off, you have to face your second biggest rival of the year in Tennessee in the third Saturday of October. Now they do get them at home, which is good, but it's just like another like can Bama get up and go? If Bama gets up and goes, I don't know if there's a team in the country that can beat Alabama. Truthfully, maybe Ohio State. I'm sure there's teams that could beat them, but I like Bama against any team in the country if they get up and go. So, are they going to get up and go? Are they going to be sleazy? I don't know. What I do know is that the past 3 weeks they've been prepared to play every single game. That wide receiver core is disgusting. I like it's not even just Ryan Williams, right? You got Bernard and then a few of the other young bucks. Like number one, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but they have really, really good receivers. And Tennessee, I am not a fan of their secondary. And so if Ty Simpson has time, Bama's going to cover this 8.5 point spread. With that said, Tennessee also has a really good pass rush. Can the Bama offensive line play consistent, right? So if they can protect Ty Simpson, I think that's really what this game comes down to for the Bama offense, Tennessee defense. If Alabama can protect Ty Simpson, they will win the football game. I don't care how many points Tennessee's going to try and score. Bama will win the game if Ty Simpson's got time. And another thing is Bama controls time of possession in this game. So if he's got time and they have success running the ball, good luck. However, flip side of that, Tennessee, if they can generate pressure, make Ty Simpson feel uncomfortable like Florida State did, they're in this game. It really comes down to that for me on those two sides of the football. Then you look at the other side, right? Bama's done, like I said, better job of stopping the run. Sometimes a few question marks come in my head when the ball is put in the air by the opposing team, but as we know, Josh Heupel, run first offense. If you either go ball or you don't. Josh Heupel wants to establish a run game. So I don't know how much of a run game is going to be there. Like it's obviously like they're not playing Miami. They're not. It's not like it's going to be run into a brick wall. Star Thomas, that is the featured back for Tennessee. But if they're not able to establish a run game, oof, I don't know how I feel about Joey Aguilar throwing the ball downfield. I don't care if you got Chris Brazzell or whoever else out there. Like you're gonna have to be able to establish a run game. So we'll see. As far as that goes, I think Tennessee's going to need a turnover or maybe two to go their way in this game to generate that pressure on Ty Simpson to force a turnover if they want to be in it. They're also going to have to establish the run game. And if I know anything about Ty Simpson, I know he had that one interception on a fourth down play against Vandy. But outside of that, the guy protects the football and he makes plays. And Bama's defense has improved every single week on stopping the run. On top of that, something I didn't mention, I know Joey Aguilar played on the road at Mississippi State in front of 65,000 people ringing cowbells, but then you look at the stadium, a lot of orange and white in there. This is the first time this guy's going on the road in front of 100,000 people with crimson and white just shaking their flags. I'm very interested to see how he does in this environment. This G5 Joey come out in this game where he's turning the ball over, because if Tennessee turns the ball over, if they lose a turnover battle, I should say they will outright lose and Bama will cover. I'm going to predict a Bama cover here, 34-24. I think Tennessee is a good football team. I don't think they're an elite football team. And I think Bama's elite. So I'm going to roll with the Tide until they prove me otherwise. But there is a chance for an upset here. I just think there's too many things that have to go Tennessee's way. I give them, 34-24, Bama over Tennessee.
Good stuff, Hunter. Two matchups that I kind of want to take a look at here. The first is, you brought it up, Hunter. Tennessee's pass rush, their first front seven against that Alabama offensive line. Tennessee has proven they can get home to the quarterback. They did a lot in the Georgia game, and Gunner, he got pounded a lot in that game and had to stay in the pocket, and deliver some throws while getting delivered a hack on his body. Ty Simpson, I've watched him very closely in the past few weeks since they've gotten hot. I've watched him against Georgia. I watched him against Vandy, and I watched him against Missouri very closely. This guy, like you said, Hunter, takes care of the football. In a clean pocket, he is going to eat you apart for four quarters. On the flip side of that, especially in this Missouri game this past Saturday, there were a lot of times which Missouri didn't bring enough pressure as it was. There were a lot of third down situations that Missouri, they bring pressure on first and second down and throwing situations. And then when it came to third down, they'd sit off of him, and he would have plenty of time to cover the field and make a throw. When he was under pressure on Saturday, yes, I saw some good plays where he mainly would get out of the pocket and make a throw on his legs. Not a lot where he was sitting in there and delivering a football while he's getting blown up. But a lot of not shaky decisions by him, but just a lot of off missed throws when there was pressure on him. So that's kind of, and I'm not like trying to take anything away from any quarterback. No quarterback's perfect when they're under pressure, right? But I think a key for Tennessee is to bring pressure on him all night long. Get him uncomfortable. He hadn't been uncomfortable in some of these, like the Georgia game. Georgia didn't get no pressure, and that's the reason they lost, because they couldn't get pressure on Ty Simpson. Same thing with Vandy, which in that game, Alabama kind of leaned on their run game more. In Missouri, they didn't bring enough pressure in downs that mattered and situational football plays that mattered. So that's a matchup that I'm looking forward to see, because if Alabama, if they can keep Ty Simpson untouched for four quarters, they're going to have a field day offensively, in my opinion, and put up a lot of points. And the comforter there on home. The second matchup I want to take a look at is the Tennessee offense, the tempo that Josh Heupel likes to run against Alabama, who this is more of a team versus team matchup, but Alabama, who has controlled the time of possession, they control the clock, they kind of manage the tempo of the game. Tennessee, and this, I think that in my eyes, what I would approach it as, Alabama is battle tested. They've gone on they're in the middle of an absolute gauntlet, and they still have more to come. They played road games at Georgia. They played at Missouri last week, and then Vandy at home. They're going through the gauntlet right now. This team's tired. Tennessee hadn't been on bye weeks, but they've kind of played bottom tier SEC teams the past few weeks. Arkansas, Mississippi State. They had a UAB game sandwiched in there. So I think I want to see Tennessee tempo all night. Like this, I'm not saying that Alabama's tired. I don't know that. I guess I'm speculating that. But can they keep the tempo up for four quarters? Because if you take your foot off the gas like you did against Georgia, it's not going to work, because Alabama, they control the clock. They like to be in control of the tempo. So Tennessee, I think one of their keys should be is to try to control the tempo of the game. Go. It's a very intriguing strategy to me, and I think Josh Heupel is the best in college football at it as far as tempo goes, because they do it very well. They get defenses confused on when subbing out. You saw it against Georgia. So, yeah, that's what I think about that matchup. As far as a score prediction goes, I think this game always produces, especially in the past few years. Even when Saban was there, this is just a game when the third Saturday in October, we're in for a thriller, regardless of where it's at, where it's being played. Two teams that are low key rivals here. I'm going to go, I think 8.5 is too much for me. And I'm kind of in the same situation as Indiana, Oregon last week, right? Where I said I 100% see a path where Indiana can win the game outright and beat Oregon. But I'm not ready to pull the trigger on them yet. Wish I would have, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger and say that I think that the Volunteers are going to go into T-Town and win outright against the hottest team in the country. But I do think they cover in a higher scoring affair. I'm going to go Alabama here, 38-31. I don't know if Hunter's with us currently, so I'm going to keep on trucking along. Oh, he is with us. Perfect.
Sorry, I've been working back and forth between two screens here, trying to make sure I had everything in order. But I'm here.
You're good, brother.
You think I'm going to miss the Southern Cal prediction? Come on now.
All right, the next game we have to look at here. This is low key like could be argued the biggest game of the week, just with the playoff implications. USC coming off of a huge win last week at home against Michigan, kind of an under the radar team in the Big Ten, and kind of fighting for that third spot, like we talked about last week. Now the Penn State's out of the question, and even now you could argue Oregon is fighting for that third spot as well. The Big Ten tier two teams outside of the top two, which is Ohio State and Indiana, is just a battle right now. Traveling to Notre Dame, this is one of the best matchups rivalry-wise in college football, two historical teams. It's always good when they're on the screen at the same time playing each other. Traveling to Notre Dame, Notre Dame's 9.5-point favorites. Notre Dame, it's the same thing each week from here on out, and it's just keep winning, take it week by week. If you win out and go 10-2, most likely you're probably going to be in the playoffs. And this is probably going to end up being a good win if you do take care of business at home here. Very interesting that the Irish are 9.5-point favorites. I know it's a home game for them, cross country. I believe Notre Dame, are they coming off of a bye?
No, they played NC State last week, which
That's
might
right.
as well have been a bye.
Yeah. Still 9.5-point favorites at home against a very talented, loaded offense in USC. And it's Lincoln Riley. Good coaching matchup here between Lincoln Riley and Marcus Freeman. Hunter, where's your head at on this one?
Yeah, so I haven't came out publicly on the show and said it, but like maybe if you watched back to like when I was doing this by myself, 2-3 years ago now, gosh, you guys know that like I have a USC problem. I just haven't like came out and said it within the past 2 years. Actually, I take that back. I definitely had USC in my playoff last year. It took everything in me not to put them in there this year. Actually, I'm going 9-3. So if you follow along with this podcast, then you know Jake Stinchcomb has a TCU problem. Like it's there. He loves Josh Hoover. He loves Ethan McAllister. Like just something about the boys in purple, right? That's how Jake Stinchcomb feels. Well, that's how I feel about Southern Cal like my entire life. Like I don't know what it is about that crimson and gold and then that Trojan on the helmet with a little few helmet stickers for when you do something good in the game and they play in the Coliseum, which is such a beautiful stadium. I got to see it in person. Like I don't know what it is. I have a USC problem. Like I love Southern Cal. And I don't even like the state of California to be quite frank. So I don't know what it is, but I got something with Southern Cal. I don't know if it was a Sam Darnold year, but I'm going on a ramble here. So I almost like have a personal bias, and I don't even know why. Yeah, this number's too big. I'll go and tell you right now, Southern Cal's covering 9.5. I don't care if their star running back's out or not. The true freshman that came in last week against Michigan was straight up pounding the rock, and that win right there, it's not a program changing win for Lincoln Riley, but it's a step in the right direction. Like it's a great win because they beat Michigan by running the football and playing good defense. So I think that is a massive win, and they got a lot of momentum coming in Notre Dame. However, Jake, you and I had this argument the other day. Like, I think Notre Dame's still a good team. I think, they have they have two losses, both against top five teams, one on the road by 3 points, and the other one at home by one that, they almost gifted it to them on a silver platter. But regardless, they lost the game. Then I always say there are wins and there are losses. So they lost the game. Whatever. Big win for A&M, big win for Miami. Not saying Notre Dame should have won either of those games, but I still think they're a good team. I've seen their defense improve week by week here. held Arkansas to 13, which is a good powerhouse, which I have an entire theory on, which I'll get to in a second. They held Boise State to 7, NC State to 7. I think there's another ACC team in there that they held to a short number there. But as far as the whole Arkansas thing, everybody knows that was just a whole woo. Like as soon as Notre Dame went up by 2.5, 3 scores, Bobby Petrino called off the dogs on offense because he wanted the job the next week. That's just true. That's like the biggest scum in the SEC is Bobby Petrino. Uh, you think they're just gonna like flip a switch on when they go on the road to Tennessee and lose by a field goal? Yeah, no. I beg your pardon, sir. He called off the dogs because he knew he was getting that job against Notre Dame. So I don't know. Tinfoil hat method. Once again, getting off the point. I'm going to preview USC Notre Dame. I like how USC's team has stepped up, but they have been pretty bad on the road. Um, I know they've traveled to Purdue and they traveled to Illinois, not Indiana. Um, Obviously, they have like 30 plus to Illinois. Their defense played good against Indiana, but their offense was shaky. So traveling across the country here has not been the best for them. I understand the Illinois game was also a 9 a.m. local kick for them, which I don't think a West Coast team playing on the East Coast should ever. Actually, I just don't think West Coast teams should be big noon kickoff. I'm sorry. I don't think that should be a thing. Especially when USC the week before they played Illinois played an 11 p.m. kick local time. So I don't know. Once again, I'm just getting on all these side points here. But I think the matchup to watch here is Notre Dame's corner. I forget his name off the top of my head, and like I said, I don't have all my notes in front of me. But he's facing Makai Lemon, who I think Makai Lemon might be the best receiver not named Jeremiah Smith in the country. This guy's a dog, lots of yards, touchdowns. Don't have the exact numbers in front of me. Not gonna try and make up some random stuff off the top of my head. But that's the matchup to watch here, right? Notre Dame's defense. Uh, if they're playing man, I'm very interested to see that matchup because USC also has Jacoby Lane, who I think is a really good receiver, good number 2 option. They have a few other guys that like can catch the ball. USC has athletes around them, so I think Notre Dame's going to try and play some zone here. I like how Jade Mayava plays. He's very efficient. Only 1 turnover this year, 1 pick, I should say. He might have fumbled the ball, but I know he only has 1 pick this year, done for a good amount of touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. Like I really like Jade Mayava. I came on here last week when I picked USC to beat Michigan and said, you know, he's the one playing within Lincoln Riley's offense, whereas guys in the past, such as Kyler and Baker, or not Baker, Kyler and Caleb Williams have like, they just kind of, they didn't have to really play in the system. They were such good athletes on the field, but like now that we're seeing them in the system, I think USC has established a good run game, but can they hold up? Like, can they be special against this Notre Dame defense that I don't think is that bad? I think they are improving every week. I'm curious to see if the low totals for holding their opponents to low totals will continue on in this game. Like this is such a make or break spot. Jake, you pulled it. You talked about it in the intro. You said this is a playoff implication game, right? If Notre Dame loses this game, their season is over. They will not make the playoff. I don't care. They will not get in as a 3-loss team. USC only has 1 loss. If they get past this one, they got a pretty good road to at least go 10-2, right? So implications are high. Like I said, the matchup between the receiver and the corner, Makai Lemon, and I don't know the Notre Dame corner off the top of my head. But like both of those, I'm interested to see how Mayava does on the road. I know it's going to be windy, it's going to be rainy, so that definitely doesn't play in their favor. So if USC can establish a good run game, get some push up front, that'll be good. As far as Notre Dame's offense goes, like I think CJ Carr is the most underrated, not talked about quarterback in the country. This guy is really good for a redshirt freshman. I think he has a lot of potential down the road, potential Heisman candidate in the next 2-3 years. But we'll see. They brought in the guy from Virginia. They still have great house. Like they got weapons. I think they'll be able to establish a run game with Price and Love. As we always give a shout out to Jeremiah Love, so I decided to put Jadarian Price on this one, who is an underrated tailback in Notre Dame. So I know I'm kind of rambling here, but I'm curious to see how USC's physicality holds up in this one in back-to-back weeks after getting off a very physical and emotional win against Michigan. But I've talked about this a few times on the show, and I didn't bring it up with Georgia Ole Miss, but like there have been a lot of games this year where a team needs a win and a team would like a win, right? Like I think Georgia needs to beat Ole Miss, whereas Ole Miss would like to have it. With they don't have any conference losses, Georgia's already dropped one. I think that kind of plays a role in this one. Like, don't get me wrong, like USC needs this win too, but Notre Dame just needs it more at the end of the day. So I am going to roll with the Fighting Irish as much as it pains me, but that number is too big. I'm sorry. Give me Notre Dame 37-35. I would pick USC as my Saturday shocker, um, but somebody else already took it. We'll get to it in a little bit, but it's not you. Regardless. Um, I want USC to win. I would love for USC to win, but I'm just not ready to pull the trigger on it yet. I still think they got everything in front of them, even if they do lose this game. So I'm going to take the Fighting Irish 37-35.
Good stuff, Hunt. A lot of good points there. Personally, for me on this game, I think the matchup just favors Notre Dame so much. I think what USC has offensively falls into the hands of Marcus Freeman perfectly in the sense that he's going to line up his guys defensively, his secondary against those playmakers on the outside and have a game plan ready to guard, to cover the pass and to force them to be one-dimensional and force USC to win in the trenches, to win up front, be the more physical team and run the football. I think that's just what Marcus Freeman does, right? He takes advantage of the matchups he's got, and I think he does that here at home. Night game, like you said, it's going to be windy, rainy, the weather factor. USC coming off of an emotional win at home against Michigan that they needed. So that's one point. I mean, just that, like the game factors it is, all the things outside of the actual football. And then the other thing I was going to bring up that I'm blanking on. I think it's a great spot for Notre Dame. I forgot what it was. I think they roll here, and that's what it was. Hunter, you brought it up. The like need to win factor. When you like put it on like a scale, Notre Dame just needs it that much more here. USC would like to have it. There's still a path for them after this. They just would have to win out. Notre Dame, their season's on the line. Each week from here on out, their season's on the line because they had 2 losses. And I think they take control of it here. They quietly have been getting better defensively, and the offense is starting to click better and better each week. With CJ Carr in there, like you said, Hunter, he's quietly one of the better quarterbacks in the country right now, and I think he'll be able to showcase that on Saturday night. And like I say every time we talk about Notre Dame, just feed those backs, man. Price and Jeremiah Love, 2 of the best in the country at what they do. So I'm going to take Notre Dame here to cover. I'm going to take the 9.5 and go Notre Dame to win 38-28 this Saturday night.
I hear you. One thing I do want to point out, we have an elite coaching matchup in this game, and it's not just Lincoln Riley versus Marcus Freeman, who like have the names, but like we have a really good coaching matchup. Notre Dame offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock versus USC defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn. This is a popcorn game. It's a popcorn game. So very excited to see that. Just want to throw that shout out in there. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. On to the next big game this week that we're looking at. Third big SEC game. LSU number 10, a team that's just been quiet, kind of under the radar in the SEC, right? Traveling to Vanderbilt, to Nashville, Tennessee. Vandy coming off of a bye after the heartbreaking loss in Tuscaloosa. Had an opportunity to win that game. 2 rough turnovers by Diego Pavia that really cost them that game. They were in a position to win if you take away those turnovers. Very interesting matchup here, especially when you look at the fact that Vanderbilt is the favorite. They're favored by 2.5 here. I'll go first on this one, Hunter, and then let you take it away if that's all right. First and foremost, I'm just going to get this out of the air. There is an old saying, an old trick, something to live by, and that's when you are wagering, when you are picking games that Diego Pavia is playing in, and there is a plus sign next to the number of the Vanderbilt Commodores, you take Pavia, right? It doesn't matter who they're playing. It doesn't matter if they're playing the Patriots with Tom Brady. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. You just close your eyes and take him. And then when there is not a plus sign next to the Commodore's name, you close your eyes and you take the other team and you fade Pavia. That's exactly what I'm doing here. I think LSU needs this one. I think they are going to, and I saw an interview that Brian Kelly had this week where he said he knows Diego Pavia and who he is as a quarterback, and they want to try to make them one-dimensional, make them throw the ball. LSU's defense, coordinator Baker, I'm blanking on Blake Baker, the defense coordinator. Their defense is really good with Whit Weeks. They've played solid all year, and that hadn't been the problem. It's been the offense. But I think defensively, LSU is going to have a game plan to try to make Diego Pavia sit in the pocket and throw, because if he gets going using his legs, and Cedric Alexander The running back they have, those two guys get going and they hit a few shots on play action to Eli Stowers, one of the best tight ends in the country. They're Vanderbilt is going to be able to not roll but control the game here, and LSU doesn't want that. So I think that they will have a plan for Pavia and that defense. I think Whit Weeks has a great game here. And then as far as LSU's offense against Vandy's defense, I'm still banking on LSU breakout. We're not sure of Nussmeier's health. We're not sure. We have just yet to see him play a full, complete game at the level we know he's capable of doing. I'm not saying it's going to happen here, but I think we're due for it. And one thing I want to see is like some explosive plays out of LSU. That's not something that we've seen the past few years with LSU, with Jaden Daniels and now Nussmeier last year. There were a lot of explosives, ton of explosives on that offense, and we just that hadn't clicked yet this year. So this week I'm looking to see them do that, and I think it'll help now that we're seeing Caden Durham kind of come out of his shell. He's starting to run the ball a lot better for them, and that run game's starting to click. So if they can keep the run game and establish that in Nashville on Saturday night, that will open up more for Nuss in the passing game. So I honestly think the number's way wrong. I think I don't know what it is, but I'm taking LSU here to win pretty comfortably. So I'm going to go LSU wins in Nashville 35-26.
I got you, man. I'm glad we're finally on a different side on the game because we've been on the same side every game. We've been pretty close too, as far as who's covering, who's not. Now I'm rolling with the Commodores on this one. So my biggest thing is Jake just said, Caden Durham. He's finally picking up the rush game, everything like that. I tend to disagree. Yes, I know that they ran for 5.5 yards per carry last week in South Carolina, but they still rank in the 100s in rushing yards per game and rushing yards per attempt. So I'm still not sold on it. One game after a bye week against a South Carolina team that is obviously mediocre to bottom level of the SEC this year. It's just how it is, especially on the defense side of the ball. Like I'm going to need to see more. The worst thing that could have happened to LSU was Diego Pavia turning over the ball twice in the red zone on the road at Alabama when they definitely could have had points on the board and then getting a bye week after it. I just don't think those two things mix up too well for the Tigers in this one. I think that getting a bye week, getting your mind back right, I like Clark Lee more than I like Brian Kelly. Like as a coach, I know that Brian Kelly, obviously very storied career, played for a national championship, been to a playoff a few times, like had a great career at Notre Dame, has won a lot of games at LSU in a short time there. However, I just think what Clark Lee has done at Vanderbilt is already more impressive than what Brian Kelly has done to LSU with respect to expectations to both programs. Jake, since you're back on the screen, when was the last time Vanderbilt was favored over LSU in a football game?
I heard this somewhere, and for some reason, I want to say like it's in the teens, right? It's not hadn't been in this decade.
It has not been in this, dude. It's almost been a century.
Really?
1948. 1948.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
I didn't even know betting lines was a thing in that 1948. To be quite frank with you. Anyways, pretty sure Hoover was the president. If not, it was Truman right after FDR died. Like it's been a long time. Like this is some World War II type stuff. And so Vandy favored by 2.5. I think the right team is favored in this game. I think it's really just a pick 'em, and you give them 2 to 2.5 points for being the home team in this one. I think that's genuinely what it comes down to. So maybe there is no team favored, and they're just equal. And I could definitely see a world where that is the case here. But like I said, I just think coming off the bye week, Vanderbilt's rushing defense, I didn't bring this up. I know I said I need to see more of LSU's rushing offense, even though they did produce well last week in South Carolina at home. But Vanderbilt's rush defense, I believe, ranks in the top 10. If it's not top 10, it's definitely top half of the country there. Very successful against the run. So I don't know. I'm going to need to see more from the LSU offense. I think if they're going to go back to old school Vandy here, time of possession, think they get it done. I'm going to try not to ramble. Like I know I was rambling again with LSU or USC versus Notre Dame. It's different when you're on the phone, guys. Like you actually think you're on FaceTime or on the phone. It's pretty weird. It's a little bit different. So sorry for the rambling tonight, but I got Vandy 23-20 in a low-scoring bout against LSU.
Good stuff, Hunt. Opposite sides here. That'll be fun to see unfold. On to the next thing. We got quick hitters of the week. We got four good ones here. I'll kind of start off with the first one and then let you go. Oklahoma, Hunter's darling, traveling to South Carolina. South Carolina just has not been talked about, looked at, not under the radar, nothing. They've just been mediocre mid since that really the Virginia Tech game when they won on that standalone game on Sunday, week 1. Oklahoma coming off of the loss against Texas last week. Mateer did not look right. It was obvious that he was not 100%, but he is a gamer and loves the game and was out there, which I appreciate a lot. I believe Oklahoma is favored by 5 here. That was the number the last time I looked at it. Personally, Hunter, I hate to say this, but this is the SEC. I know South Carolina is bottom tier. Oklahoma is in the middle of a gauntlet right now. John Mateer's health, I haven't seen it yet. I don't like what that offense looked like last week when he's not 100% and he doesn't have that confidence to go make that game-changing X-factor play that he has been in the weeks leading up. And he's got one of the best pass rushers in the country getting after his ass this weekend. And Evan Stewart, Nick Stewart, DJ Stewart. Dylan Stewart. I was close. I love watching that guy come off the line of scrimmage. This is a game like to watch that matchup. Like T-Bob's talked about it on Necessary Roughness, like watching, like you should try to take, when you're watching football, like take time to watch the line of scrimmage rather than the ball beginning of the snap. This is one of those where I think that's in play here when South Carolina's on defense. Watching Dylan Stewart coming off the edge. He gets off the line very fast against a good offensive line in Oklahoma. So say all that to say this. I think this is the SEC. It's becoming like the NFL. South Carolina's 3-3. I don't think South Carolina needs this. If you need a game, it's because you're trying to make the playoff in the end, right? You're trying to put yourself in a position to make the playoff. I think Shane Beamer needs this one a little bit more than your boy Coach Venables does in Norman. Coming off of emotional loss last week, I'm taking South Carolina to win the game here. I'm going to go South Carolina wins in a thriller, 27-24.
Gotcha, man. I disagree that Beamer needs it more than Venables because I think Venables has seen what's happened with James Franklin. He's like, that can't be me, bro. Like, I can't let that happen to me. Because there was already hot seat talks from Venables going into the season. They started out quick, but, dude, it took one loss to Texas for Twitter birds to start chirping again. Like, oh, Oklahoma's got this gauntlet. Is that job going to come open at the end of this year? And I know John Mateer didn't look right, man. Oh, that pain for me. That was just pain, straight pain. Hated to see that. However, we said Texas needed that game more. But I do think Venables, like, he needs this game. Like, he cannot allow his team to go off the train tracks here. But Jake, do you know what month it is?
I do.
It's Cocktober. It is Cocktober, and you're having to travel to the home of the game. You're going to have to travel to the home of the Gamecocks. And like you said, dude, this is the SEC. Like, I don't think there is too much separation here between South Carolina and Oklahoma. Oklahoma favored by 5.5 last I saw, so giving 3 points South Carolina there on home. So neutral field, Oklahoma's touchdown better. But granted, this game's not played on paper. If it was played on paper, this is so funny. If this game was played on, or if these games were played on paper, we wouldn't have to have a season, and we would have had Texas versus Penn State in the national championship week 1 versus 2 in the AP poll. Imagine, see what this world has turned into. That's why you got to play the games on the field, and this game will be played on the field in October in Williams-Brice Trailer Park in Columbia, South Carolina on Saturday, and I can't back down from my take after one game. Like, I think this is a bounce back spot. I don't think it's pretty because I definitely see a path and a way where South Carolina gets the win here. My biggest concern for Oklahoma, man, is like they need to make a team respect the run because if they don't, like, they will lose 4 or 5 games this year, and that's just unfortunate. But it's just truth of the matter. Like, I don't know where it's got to come from, but man, they just cannot run the ball. However, I think Oklahoma's defense, this is especially a get-right game for them. Like, don't get me wrong, they were on the field a lot against Texas, kind of just worn out. Texas able to run the ball, whatever. But South Carolina's offensive line, I'm not sold on. I'm also not sold on their defense or their playmakers on the outside. This is the battle of who's got the better Superman cape, because I feel like you look at these two teams, it's like John Mateer, dude. If he doesn't like put a Superman cape on, we see what happens in Oklahoma. Well, if Lenore Sellers can't put his Superman cape on, we see what happens in South Carolina. Like, these are just the battle of the two Supermen. Um, and I just think Oklahoma's got more talent around them. I just think it's a bounce back spot, whereas South Carolina could almost like give up in a sense. Um, I don't know. I can't back off my take more than anything else. Going to keep it rolling with the Sooners here, man, because I do want to see them win. I want to see John Mateer get right, but I got the Sooners 23-17.
Good stuff, Hunter. Yeah, I would expect nothing less than you to stay with your darling and
I
ride them
did
into the sunset regardless.
did I not pick Texas to win the game last week?
Quietly, but you said Oklahoma, but then quietly said Texas.
I said I think Texas wins the game, but I got to pick Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I'm not coming on
exactly.
here, but I'm not like I don't. I'm not even saying I think South Carolina's going to win the game. Don't get me wrong. Like, if Oklahoma falls off the tracks, they fall off the tracks, dude. Like, I
Yeah,
won't be scared to say, whatever. Um, yeah, continue on, Jake.
good stuff. So, in October, baby, interesting to see which coach can get their team off the mat more this week. On to the next one. The Missouri Tigers. Both teams coming off of a loss here. Missouri Tigers headed to Auburn, to Jordan Hare. Another night game for Auburn. 0-3 start in SEC play for Auburn, coming off the loss to Georgia at home. Missouri coming off the loss at home against Alabama. Two teams that need it in the sense Auburn needs it in the sense of just their head coach. If they lose this one at home, another night game, I think this the hot seat talks and the another coaching job talks, or another coaching job being open, ramps up even more. And then Missouri, I think they need this. They have a pretty manageable schedule in the SEC compared to others, like an Oklahoma, for instance, or an Alabama. They need this one. I like to bring this up because you kind of said it, but I don't think you like meant it to bring up like a point. But I always think about this when I look at games, like the need it more factor. Who needs this game more when you look at it? Honestly, man, I think it's Missouri. I think Missouri needs it after last week. Going on the road, they need a road win. They have some home wins. This team's a playoff team. They can't afford to lose another one because then it's week by week, seasons on the line. It's a playoff game. And then Auburn, um, their coach needs it, right? And they got a running back kicked off the team. Their athletic director's throwing a fit on the sidelines, which is just an embarrassment to a program in general. I don't care how bad the call is. If you look at that, and I saw Auburn's head coach Hugh Freeze on Saturday night. I know we didn't recap the game, but when shit went sideways for them after the fumble, they gave up. They were up 10 at the time. Could have been up 7, but they were up 10. Gave Georgia the ball on the 1 yard line at home in Jordan Hare. And the way he reacted fed to the players, fed to the fans, because everybody was bitching about the call. And Georgia had to run a quarterback sneak just to get out of the end zone with a minute left to go in the half. And then they get a first down, and there's still plenty of time to go and score. And Georgia marches right down the field. And that's when I knew, like, I had no worry about Georgia because Auburn had just given up. And they did in the second half. And I think we see that again here. I think Auburn, I don't think Hugh Freeze can get him back off the mat after last week. And I think his time at Auburn's coming to an end. So I'm going to take Missouri here. I'm going to go 24-23.
Yeah, I do think Hugh Freeze's time at Auburn is over. I don't know if it'll happen this week, but I do think I don't think he'll be the coach there next year. However, man, I can't. Jake, this is Mizzou's first road game of the season, right? First time they've hit the road all year. New quarterback. I don't know, man. Night game at Jordan Hare. Do the fans show up? I feel like those fans show up regardless. They are crazy out there in Auburn, Alabama. Hugh Freeze needs it, man. They had a glimpse of hope. I think, like, here's the thing. You mentioned the giving up thing. I definitely saw it myself. If that carries over to the next week, they might as well just fire them after Saturday. Um, so it's big test for Auburn. But I just don't like this is Mizzou's first road game. We're 8 weeks into the football season. I think Auburn knows that they got to win this game. I know Mizzou thinks that they need it too, but after what I saw last week, I got to pick the Tigers here. See what I did there?
Yeah.
I'm picking the Auburn
This guy.
Tigers. I'm picking the Auburn Tigers. 23-21 in Jordan Hare. Man, I don't know. I just got that feeling like they were favored. Opened up. This line is crossed zero now in favor of Mizzou -1.5. But I like Auburn in this spot. I don't know what it is. Like I just think they had a little bit of a glimpse of hope. If they can get right, I just hope it's just going to really come down to if they got right mentally in the locker room and on practice field this week. So if they didn't and it carries over, like I said, get rid of them now because they're just it's only going to get worse. But I'm going to bank on Hugh Freeze and then the fact that this is Mizzou's first road game. I really that just doesn't sit well with me in this spot. So I am going to take Auburn to win 23-21. Probably my least confident pick on the board.
Good stuff. Definitely, like I feel like this is like a must-watch game. Like the spread says that it's a 1-point spread, whatever. But just like two SEC teams, a night game, Jordan Hare. There's other big games going on at 7:30 in the late slate on Saturday night. But I definitely, in our score predictions, kind of reflect this. Like I definitely think it's going to come down to the very, 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 very end, and the four quarters just going to be low-scoring war. So very excited to watch that one after we got a few bevs in us after watching the Georgia game on Saturday. So it'll be fun. All right. On to the next one, ranked matchup in the Big 12. BYU welcomes in-state rival the Utah Utes, a team that me and Hunter especially very high on coming into the season in the Big 12. Coming off of a big, much-needed victory last week. That offense was rolling against Arizona State. Arizona State was obviously without Sam Leavitt. And had the legend Blake Sims at quarterback. That was the biggest news coming out of Week 7 last week.
It's Jeff
Sims. Jeff Sims. I said Blake Sims. Blake Sims is the old Alabama quarterback. Remember that? You remember that guy?
Yeah, he played at Gainesville High School in the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
I remember.
Utah traveling to BYU. BYU is undefeated, 6-0. A win here, they're probably sneaking their way into the top 10. Undefeated in the Big 12. I'll be short on this one. The Battle of Utah here, state championship, if you will. I think it's a spot that Utah needs this game more. I think that they kind of got the momentum they needed offensively last week. We know that defense is good. BYU kind of snuck out of a few close ones lately. They beat Colorado by a field goal, had the overtime win last week against Arizona. And in the West Virginia game it was a 2-touchdown win, I believe, but still kind of a battle for them. And I believe they're running into the wrong team to be in a close one with here. Utah's defense, we know, is elite and good offensive line. I think Utah's offense got what they needed, just a little momentum push forward last week. And I think Utah wins here pretty comfortably. So I'm going to take Utah in a big one on the road. I'm going to go 24-17 Utes.
Man, I think this is the most underrated game of the week.
Yeah.
I also think this is the most underrated rivalry in the country. The Holy War, man. What a name. The Holy War. The Battle of the Mormon State. These two teams actually hate each other. Because think about it. What else is in the state of Utah? The Jazz. That's it. That's all they got. The Salt Lake City Bees, the A's, or not the A's, the Angels AAA team. That's all they got. It's they have college football. These two teams hate each other. I think Utah's got a bad taste in their mouth from last year. If you remember correctly, Utah won 4 or 5 games last year. They needed this one at the end of the season last year to become bowl eligible. BYU was obviously on the tear with the BYU at the time. And they got it taken away from them right at the end. BYU comes back and wins in Rice-Eccles Stadium. So I do think this crowd in Provo is going to be rocking. However, dude, this is I think Kyle Whittingham, yes, Utah needs this game. They want to play for that Big 12 championship, but Kyle Whittingham wants this game after last year. And Death Texas, Kyle Whittingham, I love him as a head coach. I think Dan Pierce finally starting to get back fully healthy. As reports have came out, he was not 100% against Texas Tech. Now, granted, I don't care if he was. Texas Tech was just a better team that day. But you saw it in the West Virginia game. And last week against Arizona State, he finally started to look like Devin Dampier that I have a Heisman ticket on that I could just flush down the toilet right next door if I wanted to. But regardless of the point here, I think Utah gets the job done in Provo. But I think due to the rivalry game, the atmosphere, like, don't get me wrong, I think BYU's a good team. Like, they're sneaky, undefeated, but like I will not take them seriously. I'm sorry, I won't do it. But like, kudos to you for being undefeated with a freshman quarterback and Bear Bachmeyer. Also, did you know their quarterback wears number 47? It's just really weird. But regardless, I'm taking the Utes to win. Like, they not only do they need it, like Jake said, but I think they want it bad, especially after last season. Big rivalry spot. I know it's on the road, but I think this one comes down to the number. It's Utah minus 3.5. I think the Utes win 27-24. I think BYU's going to stay in and kind of put their name out there on the national stage. Like, hey, nobody's really paying attention to us, but like, we're a good football team. So Utes still win 27-24 field goal.
Good stuff. On to the last quick hitter of the week. Our darling, the Washington Huskies, the Damon Williams led Huskies travel to Michigan. Washington's coming off of a win at home against Rutgers, 38-19. That offense came alive in the second half last week. I liked what I saw from that offense in the second half, and their defense. Their defense played great in the second half as well against Rutgers. Michigan coming off of a loss to USC. They fall to 4-2. They are hosting here. I believe the spread's at about 6.5, in the favor of Michigan, the home team. Another cross country matchup. Washington going across the country here. Personally, for me, I love Washington, and I believe that if they were to somehow get past this one, there is a legit path, and me and you are in a very good spot as far as our preseason prediction goes on Washington. But I think this game's more about Michigan, man. I think they need this one after last week. I think this is a bad matchup for Washington. I think it's Michigan will smother Washington in this. I think they're going to establish the run, control the clock the same way that Ohio State did against them. And Washington's going to have to play a perfect, maybe not a perfect game, but they're going to have to take control of every opportunity they get, finish every drive, get a few stops here and there. But I just don't see a path with that. This Michigan run game and the defense. And I do think this is a team coming off a loss that's going to get off the mat after last week. So I'm going to take Michigan. I hate it. And I do think they cover and they win. I'm going to go 24-10.
Gotcha. So the preseason, obviously, you and I high on Washington. When I broke down their game by game, and I think it was just me and Tyler doing the preview. You might have made your own little separate clip there, but I said Washington. I thought they were going to go 10-2. You know, it's crazy. I was like, yeah, they're going to beat Ohio State, they're going to beat Oregon, but they're going to lose to Maryland and they're going to lose to Michigan. Well, they did lose to Ohio State, but you know that's number one team in the country. They did travel across the country and they were down 20-0, and somehow came back and beat Maryland and almost covered. So those kind of cancel each other out. But I did think they were going to lose this game to Michigan. So Washington was really, really bad on the road last year. Like, just could not get the travel down. This is big noon kickoff, by the way. Like, this is just criminal to do to these kids. 9 a.m. kick. I hate it for the Huskies and just the spot. I want to pick them to win. Don't get me wrong. Like, I want Washington to win this game because of how high I am on them, and I still think they're good. And like you mentioned last week, Damon Williams had over 500 yards of total offense. He threw for 400, ran for another 100. But at the end of that game, he was shaking up. His shoulder was bothering him, and I was like, oh, no. Oh, no. We'll see. But Denzel Boston's starting to come alive. Jonah Coleman starting to break out a little bit. Like, everybody saw him in that Ohio State game, and, like, guys, they were in the red zone 3 times and came away with, like, 3 points the entire time. Like, they could have been in that game. But regardless, not about Ohio State. It's about Michigan. Justice Haynes is questionable for this game. He got injured against USC, and Michigan could not run the ball effectively once he left the game in Southern Cal last week. Bryce Underwood is showing that, you know, he's got the potential, but he's just not there yet with his arm. I favor Jed Fish over Sharon Moore in a coaching matchup here. Like, but it just comes down to the travel, like 9 a.m. local kick. I saw what Washington did already once when they traveled across the country against a decent Maryland team, but they're not as good as Michigan. And Washington should have lost against Maryland. There's no other way to say it, but they didn't. They did not lose. I'm going to take Michigan to win, as much as it pains me to do, but I think Washington covers. And it might be a backdoor situation here. Like, Michigan could be up like 21-13, cover, and then Washington scores at the end. So I got Michigan 21-20 in this one. I just think the travel spot more than anything else is it's just so tough for a noon kickoff. Now, if this game was played at 3:30 or 7:30, I would probably pick Washington to win the game, to be honest with you. But with it being a noon kick and, just a few question marks about a young Washington team that has not done the best on the road, it's hard for me to pick them. But I do think they covered the 6.5, whatever point spread it is. So I do like Michigan by 1 point, 21-20. Would love Washington to win, though.
Good stuff. So that is our Week 8 preview. Another loaded slate on deck this weekend. Me and Hunter are going to be together for the slate, so we are very excited to watch all of these games unfold. Now
Dude,
it's time.
I'm so hyped. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, dude, I am so hyped for this weekend. Boots on ground in Athens with Stinchcomb. Like, gosh, so excited.
Yeah,
But
it's going to be good. Time to get into podcast 129's best bets of the week. You got Hunter sitting at 18-20 on the year, and in the lock box, I'm sitting there. excuse me, right there with him, also at 18-20, and then Tyler has taken the lead. Overall, he is sitting at 21-13, coming off of a blazing hot week last week. His went 5-0 on the lock box, triple option leg hit, and a Saturday shocker hit, if I'm correct. So Tyler's had a great week last week. I'll start with his, and then I'll let you go, Hunter, and then I'll finish up on the lock box. Tyler's first bet. He's been riding them all year. He's got Cal -10. They are at home against Hunter. Help me out here.
the fighting Belichick's.
That's really okay. Yeah, that's right. UNC. He's weighing the 10 with them at home. OU. He's taking OU, who he has not been a fan of this year at home against South Carolina or on the road against South Carolina -5. A game that I'm against him in. He has taken Georgia Tech on the money line on the road at Duke. And then he has taken UNLV. This is a surprising number. This is the most surprising, disgusting line of the week, in my opinion. UNLV is going on the road to Boise State. Boise State coming off of a bye. UNLV is coming off of a thriller last week against Air Force. They are 12.5-point dogs on the road. Very interesting to me. And a game that Tyler is against Hunter in. He is taking the Missouri Tigers on the road at Jordan-Hare to get the job done against Auburn. So that is Tyler's lockbox of the week. Hunter, take it away.
Yeah, two things. First thing about the records here. So, the past 2 weeks, I had a well above 500 record, and I think the past 2 weeks I've combined for a whopping 2-8. Not good. So, just due for a bounce back spot here. Tyler, on the other hand, this guy doesn't even bother to fill out the entire board sometimes. But hey, if you don't see value, you don't see value, right? So shout out to him for being 7 games up, 500. So, anyways, my lockbox here. I'm gonna take the Ole Miss first quarter money line against Georgia. Um, Georgia starts off slow. Ole Miss, I think they got to start fast, and it really just doesn't matter who Georgia's playing. Like they start slow unless they're playing Kentucky. So I do like Ole Miss. And my second bet, Ole Miss in the first half. I can't read the number on my phone. Jake, what does the number say?
3.5.
Yeah, you could just leave those points at the door and take them outright. They'll probably be leading at halftime just based off Georgia's pedigree. Yeah, Ole Miss first quarter, Ole Miss first half. And then if you thought I was done betting on this game, you're wrong because Georgia's going to come out in the second half, guns a-blazing like they always do. Give me the Georgia second half money line. Even if they don't win the game outright, they will outscore Ole Miss in the second half. It's just bound to happen. I'm taking Auburn on the money line. We're gonna call a timeout. Don't actually pause the video, but I'm gonna replace that with Mississippi State plus 9.5 just for podcast records here. I know it says Auburn money line. Don't get me wrong, I do think the Tigers win the game, but I'm replacing Auburn money line with Mississippi State plus 9.5 on the road at the Swamp, and I'm calling it now. Billy Napier will be fired on Sunday morning. And then give me Vandy on the money line against LSU this week. I think that line is telling, man. Like Vandy, not favored over these powerhouse teams often. It's been since 1948. I like Pavi off the bye here, so sticking with the SEC. I'm really just sticking with 3 games here. But Ole Miss in the first half, in the first quarter, Georgia in the second half. Give me Vandy on the money line and give me Mississippi State plus 9.5.
Good stuff, Hunter. I like the call out, especially on Florida. 9.5 is a lot for that Florida team right now to be favored by. My lock box, my best bets of the week. I got Duke money line going against Tyler here at home. Quietly starting to figure it out. Had a couple non-con losses. All of a sudden, they're 3-0 in ACC play. This is the typical unranked home favorite against Georgia Tech. Go ahead, Hunter.
Oh, sorry. I was going to let you finish your point, but I'm also with you on Duke. I think Duke wins the game against Georgia Tech. Line's telling Duke, like you said, sneaky 3-0. I know we didn't preview the game, but I still believe in Darian Mensah. I know that they didn't look good against Illinois with 5 turnovers and plus territory, but guys, Duke can still play for the ACC championship. It just starts with beating Tech and then beating Virginia. They should win out. I still believe in Manny Diaz and the boys. So I know we didn't preview the game. I know Tyler picked Tech. Jake, you picked Duke. I'm letting you know I'm riding with the Blue Devils too.
Good stuff. Second bet I got here, Texas kind of figured it out last week against Oklahoma. Not 100%, but the defense shined. Arch did just enough to win. They go on the road to Kentucky, laying 11.5. They're in shambles, man. They're a terrible team. No offensive pulse. Defense is not great. Mark Stoops, I don't know how much longer he's got there. I think Texas needs to keep on rolling. At this point for them with 2 losses, it's a playoff game every week. I think they roll in Lexington and cover the 11.5. Next one, me and Hunter are going against each other on this one. I got LSU to cover the 2.5. Like I said, I think the lines, I honestly think it's wrong. I'm probably going to get burned on it, but LSU, we're due for a breakout game from that offense, and I think they get the job done on the road. South Carolina going against Tyler here again, plus 5.5. I think they win the game outright personally against Oklahoma at home. It's just a battle of who's going to get off the mat in this one to me. And then TCU, one of my favorite darlings of the year this year, at home, laying 3 against Baylor, 12 o'clock kick a game. If you don't trust this, then take the over. I think the total's set at like 65. I just think TCU has a better quarterback. I think their defense is better than Baylor's. Baylor's is terrible. I like Sonny Dykes better than I like Dave Aranda. I like TCU's playmakers. They have more playmakers, better playmakers than Baylor outside of Michael Trigg, I believe, is the guy from Baylor's name. So you got Eric McAllister, Jordan Dwyer, Joseph Manjack. TCU's just got guys, man. And I think the offense shines here. I think both offensive shine and a really good game to get the day started on Saturday. So yeah. I'm going to take TCU laying the 3 at home.
Yeah, you have a TCU problem. It's every week with you in the lock box. Gosh, I really did want to put Southern Cal plus 9.5 in here as well. But hey, Jake, we're both cold, obviously, with our lock box. There's a world where Vandy wins the game by 1 or 2 points and we both win.
Yeah.
We cheer for 2 winners around here. One of us is going to get it. So hopefully, maybe both of us.
Yep. All right. Triple option. Cashed last week. The boys might be hot after this. If we hit this, we'll be hot. We got 3 legs here. Odds coming in at plus 310. We got Texas Tech money line chosen by Hunter. I think they're playing – who they got? Arizona State? Yeah, they have Arizona State.
I picked UCLA money line. Tyler picked Texas Tech money line.
Oh, did I say your name? My bad.
Yeah.
Tyler's got Texas Tech money line. I have Nate Frazier anytime touchdown. I think he's due. And I'm riding with I'm going to go based off of last week where I had Jackson Arnold as an anytime guy. So I'm going to take another one this week in Nate Frazier. He's even money to get in the end zone. And then Hunt, you have UCLA riding with the new era UCLA, if you will. So you got anything on that?
Yeah. I'm just believing in Jerry Neuheisel. I feel like they really found something there. The guys are playing hard. Like, it's not just like fluke wins. Like, these are real wins that they've had the past 2 weeks. But more than anything else, Maryland is who they're playing. And they get them at home. Maryland literally traveling from one coast to the next. Terrible spot for anybody. And I just think UCLA keeps the magic rolling, man. So, and a travel spot for Maryland, I'm going to take the Bruins.
Good stuff. So that's triple option plus 310. Let's hit another one this week, Hunter. Saturday Shockers, last thing we got here. Tyler's got USC on the road against Notre Dame at plus 255. I will go on my Saturday Shocker first and then let you go. I have Penn State going on the road to Iowa. Look, Penn State just fired, and I know they're only 3-point dogs, but just fired their coach. The biggest story in sports this week, James Franklin can. Drew Aller out for the year. There's nothing more I love. There's not a spot that I love more than an interim head coach's first game. You can't beat it. For some reason, guys just tend to play better and play for that coach more. I've seen it in the NFL. I've seen it in college football. I've seen it in other sports. It's Iowa. I'm not going to take Iowa to cover 3.5-point spread. They're going to play good defense just like they always do. They're not going to score a bunch of points. It's going to be a low-scoring affair. I'm taking Penn State as my Saturday shocker. It would make so much sense, and it would be the most college football thing ever if they came out on Saturday looking like a completely different team with an interim head coach that nobody knows and a backup quarterback that nobody knows and just dominate against Iowa. So I'm taking Penn State as my Saturday shocker.
Interesting stuff. You obviously didn't watch the Iowa game last week where they scored 37 points, covered the
I did it.
Yourselves.
You're right.
Granted, it was against Wisconsin, but still on the road, 37-0. I feel like that's impressive. I don't care who you are, especially when you're Iowa. I do think Iowa wins. Penn State's gonna have to prove it to me, but I like the spot. I like the path you're going down, Jake. There is nothing better to bet on than an interim coach and a backup quarterback, and when you combine the two together, some magic can happen. We've seen it with UCLA, right? Interim coach. We saw what they did. So, and Tyler stole mine. I want to just throw that out there. I was going to pick USC, beat me to the punch, even though I know I picked Notre Dame to win. But I would have picked Southern Cal in this spot just for value wise. I also picked Michigan to win 21-20 over Washington, but I like Washington as my second most likely dog to pull off the upset this week. They're sitting at plus 180. So gonna keep riding with my Huskies, man. Keep riding with the dogs. So give me Damon Williams and Jed Fish over Sharon Moore.
Good stuff. So that is our Week 8 preview. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll let Hunter close us out since we just completely roll flip today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Next time we talk to you guys, we'll be recapping everything that unfolded in Week 8. And also, we will be redoing our playoff brackets, I think is the plan for next week. So thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and Jake.
Where's that? Wait, how do I?
This guy's a noob. This guy's such a noob. I hope you are watching on YouTube. All right. It's just me now. Jake, by the way, I do not have an end record button on my screen. So whenever I'm done talking, you're going to have to end the recording. Just want that thrown out there. Anyways, like Jake said, big week next week. Got a big week ahead of us, right? Week 8. Very excited. Great slate of ball. Excited to be in Athens with Jake this weekend. Just enjoy some time as friends and watching football together as we do this podcast every week, but actually being in person when we're 6 hours away, it's really special for me. It means a lot to me and my time. With all that being said, enough with all the sentimental stuff. Thank you guys for watching as always. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you guys. Even if you're listening on podcasts, whether it be Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we are available there. So we thank you to the guys on there. And if you did get to watch whatever this production this was, with all the rambling and me going off topic and me on my phone and Jake holding down the fort, shout out to Jake one more time. If you had to watch all this, like, kudos to you. Like, you are a real trooper, and we really do appreciate you. Please interact with us, even if it's just a text message, Jake or I, or if that's a comment in the YouTube or on social media. We are on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Please leave a like, subscribe here on YouTube. We greatly appreciate you guys. And don't ever forget, there are things bigger than football out there. And God first and God bless. This is podcast 129.